Hey there, STEM Spark enthusiasts. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Courtney, and welcome back to the STEM Spark, where we ignite curiosity, creativity, and confidence in every learner through science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. Welcome to a brand new series right here on the STEM Spark called Just for Kids. This series is all about hands-on fun where you get to build, create, explore, and experiment with me. Everything we do here will be simple, safe, and perfect for curious young scientists, engineers, artists, and inventors. Today, we're kicking off our first Just for Kids episode by taking to the sky with gliders. I am so excited. What is a glider? Before we start building, we're going to talk about that. A glider is something that flies without an engine. It soars through the air by using forces like lift, gravity, thrust, and drag. Here's a quick little science behind it. Lift is the upward force that helps the glider stay in the air. Gravity is what is going to pull it back down eventually. Thrust is the push that gets it moving forward, like when you throw it. And drag is the air resistance that slows it down as it's moving through the air. Okay? So all of those four forces are really important. And when they all work together, you get flight, even without an engine. How cool is that? All right. It's time to make some gliders of your own. I've got 4 different ones you can try. You can use simple materials like paper, tape, straws, and cups. You can try just one of them, or you can try all of them to see which design flies the farthest or stays in the air the longest. Here's all the materials you will need. All right, we need tape. You can use clear tape or masking tape. Either one works. We need some scissors. We need 2 sheets of paper. And it can just be plain white paper. I'm recycling paper, so mine's got stuff printed on one side, but that doesn't bother me. So 2 sheets of paper. You need a little piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be big, but a little bit thicker than paper. You could also use a cereal box or a granola box or something like that. So check your recycle bin, a little thin piece of cardboard. We need 4 straws. It is helpful if they're all the same size. If you don't have 4 of the same size, just cut them so that they're at least the same length. But 4 straws. If you have a ruler, that would be great. If you don't have a ruler, a gift card will work for our purposes. We need a pencil, 2 cups, 1 Q-tip. Glue stick is optional, but it is my preferred method for that one. If you don't have a glue stick, which I don't right now, just use tape. And then we need 4 rubber bands if you're gonna do the cup glider. So when I give directions for each of the gliders, I will tell you what we need specifically for those, all right? So I'm gonna put some of these to the side because we're gonna start with the straw glider. And for that, you need your 4 straws, 1 piece of your paper, you need your scissors, you need a pencil, and you need some tape, all right? So everything else can kind of go to the side for now, and we're gonna focus on these materials. Okay, so pause the video, grab your stuff, and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, now that I've got everything set up, the first thing I'm gonna do is to use my piece of paper to cut a strip. I'm gonna cut a short strip along the short edge. So find your short edge, you're gonna cut a short strip, and then you're gonna cut a long strip along the long edge, all right? So I'm gonna flip my paper over so that it's the side without words. And I'm gonna estimate. If you are not great with estimating, that's okay. We can just use our thumb to kind of give us about an inch. So I want my strip to be about an inch wide. And if I put my thumb down on the paper, it gives me a guide that I can then use to get an estimated measurement. All right, it's pretty cool, huh? So now I'm gonna cut that and get my short strip. You do wanna make sure you're doing the short strip first. I'm just gonna follow those lines that I marked. All right, so now I've got my short strip, and now I'm gonna do my long strip. So I'm gonna turn my paper the other way. I'm gonna use my thumb to kind of give me that inch measurement. And then I'm gonna use those marks to cut my long strip. You do want it to be at least an inch wide. If it's a little bit narrower or a little bit wider, that's okay. You just don't want it to be too skinny. Okay, so now I have my long strip and my short strip. You want to make sure that one is definitely longer than the other. This is not a huge difference, so I might just go ahead and take just a little bit off so that there's a bit of a difference. So we want about 2 or 3 inch difference in the two strips. So that's good. Okay, so now I'm gonna tape the two separate strips into circles. And what I'm gonna do is just circle it up and then overlap it by just a little bit. I don't wanna overlap it too much. I just want a little bit so that I can make my circle. It is sometimes helpful to go ahead and pre-cut your tape so you don't have to do it while you hold your circle, because see, the tape gets twisted and then I lose my circle. Pre-cut tape is nice. All right, so I've got my tape, I've got my circle. Now I'm gonna do my long strip. I'm cutting my tape first. Now I'm gonna do my long strip. Again, I'm only overlapping just a little bit on the overlap. So I've got as big of a hoop as I can have. All right, so now I've got a small circle and a big circle. Perfect. Now we're gonna mark where we're gonna put our straws. So I'm gonna start with my small circle and I'm gonna just go right where I taped it, right where those pages or the things overlap. I'm gonna put just a little mark. If it doesn't mark on your tape, that's okay, just do the opposite. And then I'm gonna fold it in half. Oh, this way. So I want my mark on this side, and then I'm gonna go to this side and put another mark. You wanna try not to completely fold your paper because that's gonna mess up your circle. So try not to completely fold it. And then I'm gonna put my two marks together in the middle, right there. So I've got one mark on this side, one mark on this side, and that's gonna give me where I need my outside marks. So I'm gonna put one on this side. Again, trying really hard not to fold it. And then one on this side. So why do we need to make sure that our marks are in the right places? What is that gonna do for us? This is where we're gonna put our straws, right? So I'm gonna put my straw on each mark. And this has made our marks exactly opposite of each other. And then I've got one on this side, one on this side, one on this side, and one on that side. So like north, south, east, west kind of thing. But what does that do for us? If you said it makes it balanced, you are exactly right. It does. It makes it balanced. So now I'm gonna cut my tape. I'm gonna do 4 pieces of tape, So let's go ahead and cut those. I'm gonna prep them, get them ready. You can just put them on the edge of your table. They kind of hang off there. All right. And then once I have my tape ready, I'm gonna put my tape on the straw first, and then I'm gonna tape it to my ring. What this does is it allows us to put the straw as straight as possible without the tape really doing too much damage or like getting sticky too much, right? So I'm gonna tape each one to the marks that I made, and I'm using the non-bendy edge of the straw. So again, put my tape on first, and then tape it to where I put my mark. Okay, so that's two more. I like to put my tape right at the edge of the straw and the edge of the paper, but as long as you get it connected, it's really not too big of a deal where you put the tape. It's more important to put the straw in the right spot, more so than the tape. All right, and then this is the last one. Find my line, and then tape it up. All right, if you did it correctly, it should balance. It should balance when you stand it that way. It should balance when you stand it this way. If your straws are over the edge of the paper, I would probably move them. I haven't done enough discovery to see if that affects your flight or not, but it definitely is going to affect your balance. So it may not impede your flight as much, but balance is very important. This side is going to be a little more challenging, but we do need 4 more pieces of tape. So go ahead and cut 4 more pieces of tape, get them ready. We're going to tape the straws to the big circle now. And this one is a little bit more challenging because we do need to tape them to the inside of the circle. So I'm going to start with this straw, and I'm going to put the tape on the straw, and then I'm going to put the circle around it. Oh, we didn't mark on this one. Sorry. We got to go back and mark on these. All right, let me find my spot. So again, we're going to mark where our pages overlap, and then we're going to do the exact opposite of that. Actually, no, I folded it this way. Sorry. So we're going to put this on one end. So your fold is here. The opposite of that is over here. And now we're going to match up our 2 lines. One on one side, one on the other. That looks good. And now I'm going to mark both ends as well, trying not to fold it. And I'm realizing this might be easier with a marker, something that marks really easily. My pencil is not as easy as I would hoped. Okay, now I've got my marks ready. I can go ahead and tape. So I'm going to go back to my glider and put my straw right on that line and tape it to the inside. All right, so again, we're gonna go on the inside of the lines. It's up to you which way you wanna do it. If you wanna go from just in a circle, or if you want to line it up opposite sides, but I'm gonna go in a circle. And again, as long as you're really close to the line, if you're not exactly on it, I don't think that's gonna matter a whole lot. We just wanna be pretty close. All right, I'm gonna put my tape on my straw first, and then I'm gonna find that line. There it is. And connect it. And then my last one, the tape on the straw and then tape it. I will say the inside is kind of challenging, so give yourself a little patience with that. If you have done it in a balanced way, it should stand up all on its own. All right, so this is how you make your straw glider. So what happens when you hold the straw in different spots before you throw it? So what if I held the straw up here? Or what if I held it in the middle or at the back? Do I throw it with the big circle facing forward or the little circle facing forward? Which one is the front? Which one is the tail, right? There's all kinds of questions you can ask. One thing, if you try this glider, I want you to think about is how would changing the size of the circles affect how far or straight your glider flies? So maybe take some measuring tools and measure how far you can throw it, a few throws, and then make a bigger circle for the back and see if it changes anything. That sounds fun. All right, so that is your straw glider. I hope you enjoyed making that one. Next, we are going to do the cup glider. Now, the materials for this are just 2 cups. They do need to be the same size. We do need 4 rubber bands. They don't have to be the same size, but like an average size rubber band. If they're really tiny, it's not going to work. So you do need to kind of have a bit of an average size rubber band. And then we need some more tape. So gather those materials, come back, and let's do it. Okay, first I'm going to go ahead and cut all of my pieces of tape so they're ready. I need 1 small piece of tape. Okay, it's about 1 inch long. And then I need 2 longer pieces of tape that are about 3 or so inches long. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those so that they're ready to use later. I do like masking tape for this one better than the clear tape. I just don't have any available. Okay, so first, after we get our tape ready, we're going to put the 2 cups with the bottoms together as matched up as possible. Sometimes it helps if you stand them up. So if I stand them up like this and match up the bottoms, now I'm going to take my little piece of tape and just tape them together. This is just to hold it so that they don't fall apart. Okay? I have my little piece of tape on there. Then I'm going to tape my big piece of tape, just one of them, and start taping the whole thing. So you're going to go around that center seam and tape all the way around. Now, because your cups are angled, it's going to be a little bumpy, which is why I like masking tape better, because you can kind of smooth it out a little easier. But we do want to make sure that there is tape all the way around. So take my second piece of big tape and just go around again all the way. All right. Now, if you can kind of pull on them and they don't move, you're good. All right. So now that we have our cups taped together, we're going to do our rubber bands. Now, this is a little challenging, so be patient with yourself because this can be hard. All right, so I'm going to have 2 different rubber bands. This one I'm going to close up. This one I'm going to open up. I'm going to put the looped end of my closed rubber band through the other rubber band. Now, I just want to hold the closed rubber band. And then you're going to take the looped end that you just put through back through itself so that it attaches. Okay? So we're just looping it together. That's really all we're doing. I'm going to show you again. We're going to have an open rubber band and a closed rubber band. We're going to put the closed rubber band through the open one And now we're going to hold this one by both ends. The same end that you just put through the rubber band, you're going to put back through itself. Okay? And that's going to make a loop or a knot onto the rubber band. All right? So we're going to attach all four the same way. We're making kind of a rope of rubber bands. And we are going to attach them together. All right, so when you're done, you should have basically just a string of rubber bands. All right, so we have that. And now this is going to act as the thrust for the cup glider. So this is another part where you're going to have to practice a little bit. You're going to put the rubber band in the middle of the cups where you taped. I like to just use my pointer finger and hold that steady because you need to pull and wrap at the same time. All right, so you're going to pull the rubber bands so that they're tight or taut, and then you're going to start wrapping. Okay, once you kind of gather up that thing, the start string, you can let it go. I'm going to pull and wrap at the same time. Now, I do it like that, but then you have to turn it around. You're going to hold the cups with your hands, and then with your fingers on the other hand, you're going to hold the rubber bands. Okay? So now to get it to go, you're just going to let go of the cups. Hold the rubber band tight, and where you're pointing is where it's going to fly because it's going to shoot this way. Okay? So wherever you're pointing with this hand with the rubber band is where it's going to fly, and you just let it go. Okay? Now, I will tell you it takes several times to practice to get that going. So I'm going to show you one more time. Hold the rubber band on top at the center point. Pull and wrap at the same time. Pull and wrap. And then once you kind of get to the end, you're going to point your cups wherever your rubber band is pulling is where they're going to go. So you're going to pull, and then you just let your cups go. It takes a little bit of practice, so be patient with yourself, but this is super fun. All right. So, what happens if you bend the rubber band up or down before you let go of the cups? Can you make this kind of glider do some tricks? What do you need to do in order to do that? And then your extension question is, if we change the size of the cups, does that affect how far it flies or how straight it goes? So maybe if you have some more cups in a different size, you could try those and compare. But just remember, the bigger your cups, either the more rubber bands you'll need to loop together or the bigger rubber bands you'll need. All right? Have fun. Next up is the Q-tip plane. All right. So this one does look more like an airplane, but to do that, we're going to do a Q-tip. You need some cardstock or that cereal box piece. You're going to need a ruler or a gift card. You're going to need scissors. You're going to need tape and a pencil. All right? So gather those things together. Come back and let's do it. Okay, let's make our Q-tip plane. The first thing we're going to do is measure our wings. So in order to do that, we're going to measure a rectangle about 3 inches by about a 1/2 inch. Now, we're going to cut that out of the cardstock. That is going to be, I'm going to use my gift card as a measuring tool. So the length of the gift card is about that 3 inches, okay? Now, how do I measure the 1/2 inch by the gift card? Well, if you look at the gift card where the magnetic strip is that they swipe it, from the edge of the card right here to the opposite side of the magnetic strip is about a 1/2 inch. So if I do that on my paper and then I draw my line just to the end of that magnetic strip line, And then I flip my card over and I just use my corners to finish out. Now I have my wings. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to turn our gift card the opposite way because we need front wings and a tail wing. Okay. So we're going to turn our gift card this way and we're going to draw to the corners. And then I'm going to measure with my magnetic strip. This side does take a little bit more effort just because the magnetic strip is not in the exact spot we need it to be in. However, it's not too bad, right? Especially if you don't have a ruler. Works out pretty well. All right, so now I have measured and marked both of my wings. Now I'm gonna cut them out. Now, the neater you cut on these, the better your glider will fly. So I would encourage you to take your time cutting on this so that they're nice and straight. All right. I do like the curved edges on the corners. You could try both, doing pointy edges or curved edges on your wings and see if it makes any kind of difference. All right, almost there. Okay. All right, so now we have both of the wings cut out. We are going to tape them. I will say you might need an adult's help with this. You can either try to pull the cotton off or you can get an adult to help you take the cotton off. But we do need to take the cotton off of one side of your Q-tip. I have cheap Q-tips, so this comes off pretty easily. Just kind of peeled it. If you have better Q-tips, it might be harder to do. But I need my Q-tip ready and I need 2 pieces of tape ready. So let's go ahead and cut those and get those ready for action. Okay, so I have my Q-tip, I have my wings, everything's ready to go. I am going to tape them together. Now your big wing is gonna go just below the tip with the cotton still on it, okay? So I've got it matched up there. I'm going to make sure that it stays in the center. And then I'm gonna put my tape right over that Q-tip and the wing. And I'm kind of wrapping my tape around the Q-tip so it doesn't bend my wings too much. Okay, all right, so I've got that taped up just like that. Okay, now I'm gonna put my tail wing on, and this I'm gonna leave hanging off a little bit. So again, you wanna try to find the center. I've already cut my tape. Get your tape and tape it right on the wing. All right, so that one, just like that. So I've got my tail hanging over just a little bit. All right, so now I've made my Q-tip plane. Want to make sure your wings are pretty straight, so as I look at it, I want to make sure that the wings are matched up and they're pretty straight. They actually are pretty straight. And then you can give it a test. Okay, next up, oh, sorry, I almost forgot. Your thinking question for this one is there a specific way that you can throw this glider to get it to do some tricks? How would you do that? And then what would happen if I made wider or narrower wings? for this. Would it be easier to do tricks with or harder? All right, so if that's your favorite glider, test it out, let me know. All right, the next one up is the loop glider. And we just need one piece of paper. We need scissors, a pencil, and tape, or this is where your glue stick would really come in handy. So grab your materials and let's get started. Okay, so for this one, you're gonna fold one corner of your paper up to make a triangle. So this bottom left corner is where you're going to really want that to line up, and then you're gonna match up your edge. The closer you are to matching it up, the better your glider will be. And then you can do one of two things at this point. We are gonna cut this piece off, okay? So you could take your pencil and draw a line so you can cut the line, or you could just take your scissors and cut on that edge. Either way works, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. We do, again, want to be as exact as possible. We need to keep this, so save it. It's not trash yet, or at all. And then we need a square piece of paper, all right? So once we have our square, this is where we're going to start folding. I'm gonna actually fold it this way so that my designs are on the inside. Okay, we're gonna take and put our square point down, point up. The point that's facing down, I am going to fold that to just below the center line. I don't want it on the center line, I just want it kind of below the center line. And then we're gonna make another triangle, okay? So press that down really nice. You can even use your fingernail. And then we're gonna take that and fold it halfway up again, just below the center line. All right. And then we're gonna do that one more time, just below the center line. And then one more should be the center line. All right. So now you should have something that looks like this. I'm actually gonna fold it this way. Nope, I can't. All right, so your triangle should look like this, with the last fold being the center line. All right, so now we are gonna hoop it up. So we're gonna kind of gently curve it out. And with all those folds, it's gonna be a little stiff. And then we're gonna tuck one corner into the other corner. Now you wanna overlap them by several inches, okay? So just like about that, somewhere in there. If it's not holding very well, you can overlap by more. But if you overlap it enough, I would squeeze it, kind of go back and forth a little bit. Oops, I pulled too hard. All right, there we go. It should stand up and hold by itself. All right, so that's our hoop. Now we need our wings. So we're gonna take our wing paper that we had just cut off, and this is where I would use glue, and I would glue all of this right here, and then you're just gonna put your wings right on top. But since I don't have glue, I'm gonna use some tape. And I'm going to tape it together right there on top. I like to even up my hoop part with the edge of my paper. So this and the edge of my wings are together. So I'm gonna put a little bit of tape right there, and then I'm gonna wrap it to the inside and tape it all the way across. All right, so now my wings are on my hoop. So I've got my entire glider. That one's pretty easy. Okay, so here's a tip for this one. When you're flying this, it needs to start really high as you can, okay? Safely, okay? So if you're climbing on furniture, get your parents' permission. But as high as you can hold it in your hand, you're gonna just let it glide, all right? So this is a true glider. So the question I wanna ask you for this is, what would help the loop glider to go a further distance? What would you do to get it to go even further? And then how would you making the loop bigger? So if we used maybe a magazine size paper or a newspaper size paper and made a bigger one, how would that change how the glider flies? All right, so there's some fun things to maybe explore. All right, whether you made one glider today or all four, you just became an aerospace engineer. Engineers test, compare, and redesign, and that's what you exactly did, or that you can do. The big takeaway today, even the simplest materials like paper and tape can teach us a lot about flight, balance, and problem solving. Every test you do helps you to learn how real airplanes and even rockets are designed. All right, STEM Spark enthusiasts, I'll leave you with this final question. Can you use what you learned today from these gliders to create your own? What materials and what design would you choose? Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new episode. Share it with a fellow STEM enthusiast. I'll be back next week with more ideas to keep your STEM flying in the right direction. This is Courtney with the STEM Spark, where curiosity sparks creativity. Bye.